My name is Gloria, and I'm 33 years old. 2 years ago, I married my husband, Andy. We live together in an apartment and share the household chores. I once believed we could have a happy married life, but after the wedding, reality fell short of my expectations. I anticipated that Andy and I would have different values but would gradually adjust to each other's perspectives. However, the real issue turned out to be my mother-in-law. It started during the first month of our marriage. One morning, as I was heading out to work, my mother-in-law unexpectedly showed up at our home. She asked me, "What are you doing up so early? Where are you going, Gloria?" When I told her I was going to work, she looked at me in disbelief and said, "You're married now. What are you thinking? Go back to bed." Her reaction stunned me. Instead of offering any support, Andy said, "I'm going to be late for work. See you later," and left me to handle the situation alone. I was at a loss but told my mother-in-law that I needed to go to work too. She responded with, "Are you serious? You're a wife now. Your duty is to stay at home and support your husband. Trust him to take care of things." She blocked my path at the door, continuously interrupting me as I tried to leave. I said, "I'm sorry, but I really have to go. Please just use the key and put it in the mailbox when you leave." Reluctantly, she took the key, and I managed to get to work. However, I made a mistake by allowing her to stay in our home that day. When I returned from work, my mother-in-law was still there. As soon as I walked in, she ordered me to sit down. With a stern look, she began lecturing me on what a wife should be like, repeating the same old values. Andy arrived home midway through the lecture, but by then, the damage had already been done. She made Andy sit down too and said, "You're the husband, so show some dignity. If your wife does whatever she wants, your family will fall apart." Andy kept apologizing to his mother, and I couldn't understand why he was so weak when it came to her. Times have changed, and my mother-in-law's old-fashioned values are her own. They don't concern us. Yet she showed up early in the morning, interfering in our lives, and even wanted me to quit my job. There was no reason for me to obey her, but it made me uncomfortable that Andy would always do as she said. After my mother-in-law left, I complained to Andy, "Why do you always listen to your mother? She's just forcing her idea of a perfect family on us. It's not right to be controlled like this." But Andy seemed to have always been weak against his mother. "I'm sorry, but I can't resist as she insists. Can't you just do what Mom says, just this once?" "That's impossible. You know how important my job is. Next time your mother comes over, I won't let her into the house." "No, you can't do that. Mom will get angry and blame me for not being able to control my wife." Andy's words made me angry again. "But it's true, isn't it? We're in this mess because you never stand up to your mother. Can you at least talk to your father and get him to make her stop?" "But Mom doesn't listen to Dad either, so." "See, don't you see that your mother is full of contradictions? She said that if a wife does whatever she wants, the family will fall apart. But I thought to myself, she's the one actually causing the family to break down." When I said that, my husband got upset and glared at me, which was rare for him. "Don't speak badly about my mom," he said. I replied, "If you can stand up to me like that, I hope you'll show some strength in front of your mother too." But I knew it was my choice to marry Andy, and despite everything, I still loved him. So I decided to try harder to get along with my mother-in-law. Before Andy, all my previous boyfriends were bossy and controlling. I had many bad experiences with them. That's why I thought Andy, who was quiet and gentle, would make me happy. But in reality, he was too passive and unreliable, which became a problem. Still, I believed I could change the situation if I put in the effort. Since then, I've been trying to do both my housework and job perfectly. Yet my mother-in-law would still come over and complain, saying things like, "Aren't you neglecting the housework because you're working?" One day, I asked her to look around the house and said, "What do you think? I'm doing a good job with the housework, aren't I? Is there anything more I need to do?" She made a frustrated face and replied, "Isn't Andy helping you?" She then glared at Andy, and he turned pale, shaking his head quickly. He has never lied to his mother, so she believes everything he says. In reality, I do make Andy help with the housework, but we keep it a secret from her. My mother-in-law doesn't seem to notice at all. However, when we first got married, Andy didn't know how to do any housework at all, so I took it upon myself to teach Andy how to do housework. As my mother-in-law put on her shoes to leave, she said in frustration, "Even if it's fine now, it won't last." I'll get proof, I swear. I thought to myself, she's so persistent. I plan to just continue with our way of doing things. But my mother-in-law still showed up randomly every week, being a constant nuisance. Hey, this corner is too dusty. See, I knew it. You're not doing enough housework because you're working. Quit your job and take care of the house. This went on for 2 years. To be honest, I was getting tired of this marriage. It was stressful having her come over to check on the housework, rummaging through the fridge and even the wardrobe. It was driving me crazy. One day, she came over as usual and started going through the fridge. What? You don't have anything in here. You can't even cook a decent meal for Andy. Quit your job already. Just then, Andy came home, carrying big shopping bags in both hands. The timing couldn't have been worse. My mother-in-law was shocked to see him and immediately made a fuss. My God, Gloria, what were you thinking? Making your husband help with the housework? I replied, with all due respect, this is normal nowadays. Families with old-fashioned ideas like yours are becoming less common. My mother-in-law's face turned red, and she started yelling, You do whatever you want and mess everything up. It's disgusting. And you too, Andy. Why do you let her do this? Man up. Andy's face turned pale. He put the shopping bags on the floor, rolled his shoulders, and stayed silent. I thought to myself, he really is a pathetic guy. Then I finally spoke back to my mother-in-law in a firm tone. I've been thinking about this for a long time, but isn't this behavior rude? Andy and I are equals in this marriage. We treat each other with respect and have decided not to put the burden on either side. And I will continue to work, even if we have children. So I taught Andy how to do housework myself. As my mother-in-law was putting on her shoes to leave, she said in frustration, Even if things are okay now, it won't last. I'll find proof, I swear. I thought, she's so persistent. I was ready to continue our way, but my mother-in-law kept showing up at random times each week, being a real nuisance. Hey, this corner is too dusty. I knew it, you're not doing enough housework because you're working. Quit your job and take care of the house. This continued for 2 years, and honestly, I was getting fed up with the marriage. It was stressful having her come over, check the housework, and even go through the fridge and wardrobe. I wondered how much more of this I could take. One day, she came over and started rummaging through the fridge. What? You don't have anything in here. You can't even cook a decent meal for Andy. Quit your job already. Just then, Andy came home with big shopping bags in each hand. The timing was terrible. My mother-in-law was shocked to see him and started making a fuss. My God, Gloria, what were you thinking? Making your husband help with the housework? I replied, with all due respect, this is normal nowadays. Families with old-fashioned ideas like yours are becoming less common. Her face turned red, and she yelled, You do whatever you want and mess everything up. Disgusting. And you too, Andy. Why do you let her do this? Man up. Andy turned pale, put the shopping bags on the floor, rolled his shoulders, and stayed silent. I thought, he really is pathetic. I then spoke back to my mother-in-law with a strong tone. I've been thinking about this for a long time, but isn't this behavior rude? Andy and I are equals in this marriage. We treat each other with respect and have decided not to place the burden on either side. I will continue to work, even if we have children. Then, with a blank expression on my face, I told her the truth. I'm going back to work after my maternity leave. What? She said, shocked. You're not just saying that to surprise me, are you? No, I'm not. Also, after I return to work, Andy is going to quit his job. We've decided that he will become a full-time stay-at-home father. Huh? What nonsense are you talking about? You're a mother, and you don't want to raise your own children. Well, my income is higher than Andy's. Of course, I'll support him while I work. We both agreed that it would be better for our children. At that moment, my mother-in-law began to tremble. She turned to me, her face filled with anger like I had never seen before. Impossible. That's unforgivable. I didn't raise Andy to be unhappy. I will make sure he divorces you for sure, she shouted before storming out of the apartment as if she were running away. When Andy came home from work, he had a grim look on his face. Mom was so annoying. She called me while I was at work, saying what we decided was wrong. I don't know what she'll do. She might do something crazy. Gloria, why don't you go back to your parents' house for a while and have the twins there? It was rare for Andy to suggest something, even when he proposed to me. I remember how he showed me the engagement ring while trembling and couldn't even say, "Will you marry me?" I appreciated his kindness and courage, so I agreed. "All right, I'll take your advice and do that." I told my parents about the situation and decided to have the babies in my hometown. While I was there, I called Andy every day. I remember the time when Andy and I were dating. We didn't see each other very often, so we used to call each other just like this. Now, even though things were tense, hearing his voice brought back those memories. My mother-in-law was still furious and even showed up with divorce papers. But Andy reassured her that he would never divorce me. He even made another suggestion that helped me feel more at ease. It was an incredibly tough time, but Andy held my hand and kept my spirits up the whole way. Eventually, I gave birth to our baby girls. Andy stayed at my parents' house with me until things settled down. After a while, he returned to our apartment on his own. Not long after, I received a phone call from my mother-in-law. "Hello, Gloria. Only Andy came back, and he didn't say anything about you. You're not planning to come back here, are you?" she asked, clearly irritated. "I'm coming home tomorrow with the babies," I replied. "No, don't come back. I don't want to see your face. You and Andy are getting a divorce anyway. Why don't you just stay with your parents? Andy went there to talk about the divorce, right?" she said, sounding excited. I chuckled and responded, "Please don't worry. But I don't think Andy will be seeing you anymore." There was a brief pause before she replied, "What? What are you talking about? Haven't you heard from Andy? It means that you and Andy are no longer mother and son." He went back to the apartment first to pack. "We're moving out tomorrow." "Haven't you noticed any moving boxes?" "No, I haven't seen anything like that. The room looks clean, but that's because Andy worked so hard to clean it," she said, sounding confused. Then I faintly heard Andy's voice in the background, as if the call was on speaker. His voice became clearer. "Sorry, Gloria. I didn't expect Mom to call you." "It's okay, don't worry about it," I said. "How's the packing going?" "Yeah, almost done. I thought it would be troublesome if Mom came and made a fuss," he replied. "So I sealed the boxes and closed them up." "Wow, that's great," I said. "I'm sorry I made you do all that." As we were talking, my mother-in-law suddenly started yelling. "What the hell are you talking about? Andy, don't tell me you're moving and cutting ties with me." I was about to explain when Andy interrupted. "No, you shut up, Mom. I've had enough. All you do is impose your own rules on us, and you don't realize how much trouble you're causing. I'm sick of it. That's why we decided to cut ties with you. And when did you even make a duplicate key without our permission? Give it to me so I can return it to the management company." Andy's words stunned his mother. "What, Andy? You're divorcing Gloria, and now you're saying this to me?" "Divorce? I never said I'm divorcing Gloria. She earns more than me, and she's already explained that if she became a housewife, we couldn't have a stable family. The girls would have to sacrifice too much." My mother-in-law, still in shock, replied, "But it's just one income. Gloria's father and brother may run a company, but what does that have to do with her?" I finally spoke up, "I didn't tell you because I knew you'd make a big fuss. I work for my brother's company. He's starting another business soon, and I'm supposed to take over his company." "Huh? You mean a woman will be the president?" she asked, incredulous. "Yes, the president," I confirmed. "But for now, I'm more focused on supporting the company. I'll return to work after my maternity leave. I think we've talked about this before, I had told her this during our wedding planning, but it seemed she had forgotten. My mother-in-law was stunned into silence and didn't know how to respond for a long time. Then Andy spoke up. "Oh, by the way, Barry works for Gloria's brother's company. With your attitude, what do you think will happen to him?" Barry is Andy's second brother and a sales manager at my brother's company. I had met Barry at the wedding and found out he was Andy's brother. My mother-in-law's voice trembled as she said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Please don't fire Barry. He's struggling with 3 kids right now." I almost laughed. "No, I can't just fire an employee because of a threat. But really, please stop interfering in our family." "Well, we're cutting ties with you anyway, so it doesn't matter," she said, still ranting. Barry seemed to have forcefully ended the call. The next day, my parents dropped me off at our new house with the twins. The movers had already finished setting up the furniture and unpacking the boxes, and my parents helped organize everything. Shortly after, my father-in-law arrived. After Andy cut off contact with my mother-in-law, my father-in-law decided to distance himself from her as well. My mother-in-law's old-fashioned values had affected not just Andy but also my father-in-law and his two brothers. It seemed the entire family was dealing with the fallout just as we were. Andy, who had always been the quietest and most obedient to his mother, finally stood up to her. One by one, the sons declared their separation from her. My father-in-law also left the house and is now preparing for divorce with a lawyer. My mother-in-law has been abandoned by all her family members. Andy quit his job and has been dedicated to taking care of the twins, while I continue to work hard every day. Considering our children's future expenses, it's better for me to work than for Andy to. No matter what anyone says, I will respect the decision Andy and I made as a couple. We are committed to building our own happy family. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you liked the video. See you in the next one. Thank you.